Hi, I'm Holt McCallany, and you're watching Real Fans, Real Talk.
Face facts, what up? Real fans, realtalk.com. The orthodox Trip Young and intern Tom. For the white and black fans, Asia to Manhattan. I get all my facts from my bro Mark the Stats Man. If you're not tuned in, I recommend the CAT scan. And if your brain checks out, then you deserve a backhand. Sports, gossip, all the hot topics. Real fans, realtalk.com got it. They got the hottest bloggers. Is Jeremy Lin hurt? Well, log onto the site and you can hear it from them first. I'm talking about the latest. I'm talking about the greatest. Go check out the archives. Even tell a neighbor. Tell him Bobby sent ya. From spring to winter, tuning in should be the only thing on your agenda. Certified cosign, you know what I'm about, son. Real fans, realtalk.com. I'm out, one. Real fans, real talk. Real fans, real talk. Real fans, realtalk.com. Real fans, realtalk.com. Real fans, real talk. Real fans, real talk. Real fans, realtalk.com. Real fans, realtalk.com.
Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of the award-winning sports talk show, Real Fans, Real Talk, and we are here live in BronxNet Studios. We got a great show lined up for you tonight, our NFL Rookie Special, where we have interviews from 3 upcoming NFL rookies. But before we get into the sports topics, let me introduce my co-hosts. We have the one and only Trip Young.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's been a great week in sports. A lot of things going on in NBA free agency. All-Star Weekend is amongst us. I got to shout out our program director, Handle, because he's out on location right now at the All-Star game. He will be back next week, though. But we're going to get into that in a minute. Of course, sitting across from me, my man, Sean Fontaine. What's up, brother?
Hello, hello, hello. Happy to see you guys on this great Tuesday. Sitting beside the beautiful Rose over here. Rose, what's going on with you?
Everything's really great. Statman, I really like your energy. You just came in like, hey, everybody. I feel like it's always so hot here in the summertime that we're all like, hey, guys, what's up? So he came in like balling today, and then, Sean, you kind of dropped it back down. So
I think
trying to bring it back up now.
I had to knock some shine off my head because I was a little sweaty and all that earlier, so hey.
All right, well, let's bring it back up. It is All-Star Weekend back in New York in the other stadium, Citi Field. First All-Star game in Citi Field. Last time the All-Star game was in Met Stadium was back in 1964 in the old Shea Stadium. Rose, since you're the Mets fan on the panel, how do you feel about it coming to Citi Field?
Well, I feel a little bit better if we had a few more of our players in it. I feel a little better if we had a few better players at the Mets right now. But Matt Harvey's really, doing wonderful. David Wright, of course, is the captain, which is wonderful. I keep saying wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. Matt Harvey, I like him a lot, though, and I think, I think he was the right choice. The coach, was saying that, or the manager, was saying that he would have picked him no matter what city he came in because he had the highest strikeout rate. He had a lot of good numbers. So
and then heard that he is a Met.
The game is
at Citi Field.
But that's what he was saying, was that it didn't have to do with that. So the manager said that. I mean,
so he said.
I know.
We know.
Yeah.
I mean, no, he definitely, I'm not mad at the decision, of having Harvey start because he's had a great year. But you gotta give it to the fans. It's the first time it's been in Citi Field in a long time, and he is one of the bright sights for the Mets. You don't have my man R.A. Dickey anymore, so the Cy Young Award winner. Yeah. But I'm not mad at all at that decision.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's also I'm kind of happy. I'm bad about this name. Let me look it up in my notes here if I can find it. We got Noah Syndergaard. That's right. We got Noah Syndergaard out of it and out of that R.A. Dickey trade. And I was a little bit upset about losing R.A. Dickey at first, but he's doing wonderful. He played in the Futures game. I don't know if anybody wants to talk about the Futures game, but basically just to give a quick introduction to it, it's obviously the future. It's the rookies that are playing, or the players on the farm teams. And he had 2 strikeouts immediately, and then just got one single. The rookie from Boston had 1 single off of him, but then he immediately got out when he tried to steal second. So he's doing well. So it's looking like a bright future for the Mets. I know I say that all the time, but I'm actually serious about it this time. I'm thinking.
All-Star break. Good job. We hear that every year from Mets fans. Yeah. What do you think of R.A. Dickey? Do you think that the change of scenery leaving the Mets is the main reason for his struggles, or what do you think as far as?
We talked about this in the beginning of the season, or I think back in January before the season even started when he first got traded. It's like the Mets kind of tend to get these great players, and then they don't tend to be that great on the Mets. So I kind of feel that he was on the decline already. And
Opposite situation in this case. Usually it's the other way around. They leave the Mets, and then I guess because there was so much high expectations for Toronto, kind of like they did with the Miami Marlins, that they put together all these additional pieces. A lot of people had high expectations for them, and obviously it didn't pan out.
Everybody can't do what the Miami Heat did in basketball.
Let's not get into that. But Matt Harvey got the highest ovation and a little. No, we're not going to talk about the Heat.
Although New Yorkers don't know who Matt Harvey is, I don't know if you guys saw that from Jimmy Kimmel. He was going around interviewing people, and people didn't know who he was.
Yeah, he's not a household name just yet. He's having a really good season.
Well, it's more so he's probably more of a household name now because of the fact that he's still starting the All-Star game, but he's not a household face. You had the. Anytime I think of something like that, I think of the 1992 Barcelona with John Stockton interviewing people. He's part of the dream team, and people just don't recognize his face. Interviewing people exactly like that.
We have to keep in mind that Matt Harvey hasn't even been playing a full year yet in the major leagues. He's 10 days shy of that. So.
If he played for the Yankees, they'd know who he was. But he plays for the B team in New York, so it kind of gets.
Is that where we're going? Let me ask you, how's Derek Jeter and A-Rod doing right now?
Jeter will be back after the All-Star break.
Wasn't he supposed to be back already?
He was back. He came back.
He was back. What
They got a win.
Jeter's back in the lineup, and he's gone. But speaking of household names and a recognizable Yankee player, Mariano Rivera, playing in his last season, will be a part of the All-Star game. He is the first Yankee All-Star to play in the All-Star game in his last season since Mickey Mantle back in 1968. Hell of a season for him as far as...
really his last season. He might...
I think at this point when he's getting all these different awards from every stadium that he goes into...
He has to leave?
He kind of has to at this point. It's kind of like, he can't pull a Brett Favre.
It's not fair, though. We want Mariano for one more year because, all right, then if that's the case, then the Yankees have to win the championship this year so that Mariano could go out on top like Michael Strahan did when the Giants won a couple of years ago.
I agree with you 100%. I think that's what's going to happen, actually.
Well, listen,
we're going to pray for that one.
He's got more. If he doesn't get one this year, he's got more rings than the entire Mets organization. So he'll still be okay.
That is true.
Living in the past will do you no good. I'm just saying.
Well, the president is still doing better than the Mets.
So we have
you can live in the past, the present, the future.
Noah Syndergaard. Who's the other guy? What is his name? Nimmo. We got this.
Yeah, we got guys that you don't even know who they are.
I know. I'm sorry. They're on the farm.
And that's your team. Yeah, but you're supposed to know these things. They're the only bright lights for the Mets organization, and this is your chance to shine with the Mets because the All-Star game is at Citi Field, and you've got Harvey starting the game, and you got David Wright, and then you come in and nothing.
This is the decline, of course.
What?
Yeah. This is the decline, because it's inevitable.
This is it. This is his last hurrah.
All right, we'll see. I keep saying that, but for real this time.
You know what? For your sake, I hope so.
Future.
Because you actually missed the one time on the show when we were saying some positive things about the Mets.
I
prior to today.
Show
we do that on purpose, though. We make sure Rose isn't here so that she can enjoy anything positive about the Mets. When I come up with a good, interesting stat for the Mets, I make sure that Rose isn't here. Otherwise, I just won't even mention it.
Yeah.
So.
Part of the game plan.
Exactly.
Actually, the last time that you were saying a good stat about the Mets, I thought you were talking about that one where they had like the 18
thought I was talking about a bad stat,
and then they ended up losing. And then they had another game the next week just like that where it went into like maybe 14 innings again the next week and they lost that one too. So
the one time you got a positive stat from the stat man for the Mets, you turn it into a negative by coming back unintentionally. But moving along though, switching sports real quick, the Metta World Peace, aka Metta World War, formerly known as Ron Artest, excited to be playing for the New York Knicks. He's signing a contract. He confirmed that he signed a 2-year, $1.6 million per year, second year being a player option. Of course, as he says after games, he's from the Queensbridge project, so he shouts that out. I'm sure he grew up a Knicks fan of being a local New Yorker, so he gets to play for his team, so excited about that. Great defensive player. I'm glad to have him as a part of the team. He was saying afterwards that he didn't even care about the money. He's like, just tell me where to sign. What is the contract, $1? So those were his exact words.
Well, I would have took the remainder of the contract money if he didn't want it.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, there is a veteran minimum, so he couldn't do
Well,
that.
this
But
is
he
the
got
guy that actually put up his championship ring for charity and stuff like that. So he doesn't care. He just wants to
Yeah,
play.
he's got enough.
Exactly.
He's got some
You
nice
got to
contracts.
respect certain things about him, and
Yeah,
then,
for sure.
you know, there's other
Just
things
not
where
the
he
fighting
just
in the stands part.
the fighting in the
That's the
stands or
non-medicated Metta World
elbowing James Harden.
Yeah,
Here's
that's
the
that
thing.
guy.
The thing about Metta World Peace is that he tends to not get along with players on the opposite team, but for all that he's all the trouble he goes through or puts people through, he tends to not be that difficult on his own teammates. Like him and Kobe never had that big of a problem getting along, and Kobe's not that great with anybody, and neither is he with other players on the team. So he said he'd be fine like with Melo and all the players on there, and we know Carmelo Anthony's not that great with other people either. So I think it's going to be pretty good where he's going to be able to get along with at least his teammates. Yeah, maybe he'll elbow other people in the face, but maybe not his own teammates. And he's also going to get $7.7 million from the Lakers still, even though he left. And then I'll get like what is it, like $1.6 million from the Knicks as well. And and one more interesting thing about him that I thought was kind of cool was that he really wanted to go to the Knicks right when he was drafted, but they felt that he couldn't handle the bright lights of the city. And he said he actually admitted that they were right about that. But now that he's older and he's towards the end of his career, I think what better way to end it than being with his hometown. So that's kind of a cool thing,
Yeah, St. John's athlete, local New York college as well, also in Queens, and he was skipped by on the draft for somebody that turned out to be a flop. But who knows how it would have panned out if it was him the first time around. But he does get to play for his team, which is a dream come true. It's a dream come true to play professional sports to begin with, but then you go out and you end up playing the team that you grew up liking. So it's and he'll make it.
He was playing defense for the last week, anyways. Did you guys see the pictures with the Lakers shirt and the New York Knicks hat?
Yeah, I was the one that posted that on Instagram.
I think he kind of knew where he was going. I saw that. I was like, come on, Ron Artest. Maybe you got some more money. You'll buy some
It's
longer
not
shorts.
his name.
this time.
He's
I'm
legally
sorry.
Metta. You
Metta
can't even
World
say
Peace.
that.
I do apologize.
Listen, you can't go around elbowing guys in the face and call yourself world peace, okay?
It was an accident.
I'm calling him Ron. His mama named him Ron. I'm calling him Ron. Exactly. That's not the signs of a peacemaker.
Yeah.
But maybe he'll do well with the Knicks. I'm trying to figure out how they're gonna spread the minutes around now with all of these guys that are coming in to the organization with Bargnani and then Artest. And I know they're still talking about trying to finagle something to get Rondo over.
Really?
What do you guys think about a potential trade of Shumpert and Felton and a couple other pieces for Rondo?
Well, obviously it depends on a couple of other pieces, but at the same time it doesn't.
Exactly.
Because it's Rondo?
Yeah.
If we can get Rondo, it's like, all right, get out of here, Felton. We don't need you anymore.
Yeah, pretty much. But
We didn't do anything in the playoffs.
I wouldn't, as the Boston Celtics, they're not going to trade for just Shumpert and Felton. There's got to be draft picks involved. There's got to be more on the salary involved. They got to have somebody else in there. I don't think they're going to take Stoudemire's contract because nobody seems to want that contract. The interesting picture with the Celtics, you saw the picture with Humphreys and Bogans and company holding up their jersey. They look like, oh man, here we are. Like they were not happy to be started from the top. Now we're here.
Yeah.
Bogan said, "Hey, I'm just gonna dress up. I'm gonna get out the bed.
Listen.
I'm gonna just."
That's what happens when you leave Brooklyn. It's just you get that sad, look on your face, and then you got to go to Boston of all places. It's like, what are you gonna do? And I really like Marshawn Brooks, and I was actually surprised because he wasn't a part of the original deal. It was supposed to be Reggie Evans who actually went to Boston, and they actually switched at the last minute and put Marshawn Brooks as a part of that deal, who was actually originally drafted by the Celtics. So, but you know what? He'll get some minutes now, some playing time, which I think is good for him because he hadn't had a chance to really showcase his skill set last season. After he had a really decent rookie season, and then it was kind of Avery Johnson wasn't playing him, and then he just kind of fell out of rotation. So now with some more minutes, I want to see what he can actually do. As far as Humphreys, we know what we're gonna get from him.
Brooks, I think, is talented though. I do think he's going to get a lot more minutes and he's going to live up to his potential, more so his potential. Not like he's a superstar or anything, but when he was playing minutes with the Nets the previous season, he was putting in some pretty decent numbers. So it'll be interesting to see, especially since the Celtics aren't stacked with superstars anymore. They're going to need some people to step up, and he's one of those people that will be putting in some points. So he'll be a good he'll be a good value in a fantasy team, I would think, considering he's playing for the Celtics. For those of you that play fantasy basketball. Another thing about fantasy basketball, you could actually most likely put Derrick Rose on your roster this year. He is he says he's 100% going to start the season. What's your take on that trip? I mean, I think it's a little long overdue. I mean, we kind of figured as much. I don't even think the announcement was really necessary because he was ready to play.
Since February.
Yeah,
I'm still not putting him on my fantasy team just yet because I don't know until I actually see him on the court and he makes it through the first week of the season. Then I might take a chance on him.
It's not like he's really injury prone. It's just
Well, he went out and came right. He went out, came in, and went right back out. And, just that whole taking that year off, I'm worried, you know what I mean? Because, the type of injury and then, to go right back out and have to miss the entire season, that's kind of scary. So I don't know until I actually see him in the game and see what he can do, because we don't know if his skill set is going to be diminished, how he's going to come back and play. Is he going to be extra cautious because he doesn't want to re-injure himself again? So we don't know. I do know he did put out a video. He's coming for the throne. He's watching the throne. He's coming for Miami, supposedly so. But
some people felt that they were the favorite to win that year, the first year that Miami won. If it wasn't for the Rose injury, they were first in the East. They did have the best record, but I mean, who knows? That's
they did lose the year before to the Heat too.
He has
so
been practicing, like they say, he's been practicing full tilt or whatever. That whole year, him taking that off, that was more or less of a mental thing for him or whatnot. So I mean, I don't think it's really a physical thing. It's more of his mental. He said he's ready mentally. So I think we're going to see, a Derrick Rose of old,
And I think the mental thing is a huge part of it, because if you're not, he said he had to be 110%. So he's throwing all these, he's 100% going to play. So hopefully that means he's 110% at this point. I mean, like you guys said, he could have been cleared. I think he was cleared since last February. So the point for the precautions was, if you think about Ricky Rubio, who had that same ACL tear for the Timberwolves, and now he'll never be the same. There's always going to be, I mean, that was a huge problem for him, and now I think Derrick Rose just got worried about that. Not maybe, even if you just feel something slightly off when you're practicing, it could just feel that way to you, because psychologically, but that will affect your whole game. So I think he's like, okay, now it's like way overplayed. Everybody's been waiting for me. I've been really resting my butt off.
You got no choice, but you got to come back.
He has.
But even what it's crazy, because if you look at sports in general, where on average 70% of players go broke after retiring from the league. So now he's a very young player. He's one of the better players in the league, and he has a nice amount of money right now. But if he's in a situation where he has a career-ending injury now, comes back and gets hurt again, he's talking about his life. That's his livelihood right there. No more checks coming after that.
You're right.
Once if you can't play anymore in the league, and for him being so young, he definitely hasn't maxed the potential of earning that he would see had he played out his entire career. So I'm not mad at him for really taking it easy and taking his time to come back. But now it's time to get back out and show no more. I'm taking a breather. That's it.
I think it was more or less that everybody was upset with his brother that kept telling everybody that he was coming back.
It's always the family members between Dwight Howard and him.
Hyping it. We don't want to hear that. We just want him to come back and play and see the old Derrick Rose or whatever. I think he's going to come back. He's going to do his thing. He's been practicing. He's been practicing since last year, right?
Now, where do the Bulls finish?
Well, you know what? The Eastern Conference, because of a lot of these trades and the stuff that's going on, it's going to be a great matchup.
Well, that's interesting because the
Bulls, a little stacked heavier. The Nets obviously stacked heavier. So
yeah, you're right. Everyone is stacked heavier. But last year, everyone thought that the Bulls would be the team to play in the playoffs, and then they just got knocked right out. And everyone said they'd rather play the Pacers than the Bulls, and we saw how that ended. So I mean, I think that they were really good. And like you said, in 2011, Derrick Rose was the MVP, and they were, then it was like their year that year. So I think with Derrick Rose fully rested, this next year is going to be really good for them. I think it's going to be I'm optimistic.
Well, Luol Deng has to be healthy as well because he did have some injuries. So, I mean, they had a few injuries on that
His
Chicago
MVP
squad.
year
but,
and
you
the
know,
following year, they had different teams. They didn't have Boozer, the addition of Boozer and stuff. So it's, they finished first and they had a different team. So who knows how they would have matched up with the Heat. Either way, moving along, for those of you just joining us, we are live here on BronxNet Television. We air live every Tuesday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you're not a Bronx resident, you could still watch the program on our website, realfansrealtalk.com. Just go to RFRT Media, and on the drop-down menu, RFRT TV, you will see the live stream for the BronxNet Television programming, as well as some of our archived episodes. Our radio show airs every Sunday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on realfansrealtalk.com. Blog Talk Radio, and also archived on the iTunes store. So make sure you subscribe to us however you're listening to us, or if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to our channel. We do put up specials every now and then. Also, if you're listening to the radio show now, we also archive the audio from our TV show every Tuesday, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you can get reminders of all this if you like our Facebook page, facebook.com/realfansrealtalk. You could, we put some funny memes up there, our blogs, reminders of when our radio and TV show are playing. So make sure it's definitely worth clicking that like button, facebook.com/realfansrealtalk. Also, our individual Twitter addresses and email addresses are on the realfansrealtalk.com website under the contact section of the page. So make sure you check out that website. Now, the other thing is, we're supposed to have KJ Stroud live today, but we do have some of the footage of when we interviewed him previously. Obviously, he's big time now playing for the New York Jets, so we're definitely very happy for him that they made the New York Jets roster. And actually, in the last interview that I had with him, I specifically said, I hope you get signed to a New York team so it's easy for you to come back. And sure enough, it was the New York Jets and not the New York Giants. But, Eli Manning will be all right without him, I guess. He's got Cruz back re-signed, so I'm definitely happy about that. But Trip Young, you also have a couple of interviews as well with some of the other NFL futures that we're going to show a little later on. Can you tell a little bit something about that?
Well, first of all, let me just say, because this is when I was in Miami, and it was somewhat of a rivalry going on, because here I am, New York repping the Giants, and I'm out there going to war with the Redskins and the Eagles at the same time. It's
The
never
only thing
been
you
done
were missing
before.
was the Dallas Cowgirls.
Yeah, exactly.
In that
If we had a Cowgirl fan out there,
Whoa.
it would have been crazy. But I got a chance to chop it up with Washington Redskins rookie David Amerson and Eagles rookie Eric Wolf, and they gave me some pretty interesting facts about training camp, how the respective coaches are, Chip Kelly and Shanahan, and of course, like I said, I threw my shots in there about the Giants, let them know.
Of course, I'd be mad at you if you didn't.
What was going down? I did have to cut some of the footage back because it did get a little heated, with the rivalry as they can get when you're talking about Eagles, Redskins, and Giants, and they actually talked about playing each other's teams and who was going to win the head up with the Eagles and Redskins, and they're actually both friends. Both from North Carolina, so they grew up together in the same area. But it was a really great experience. Hopefully we can get them in the studio when they come up to lose to the Giants at MetLife Stadium.
Yes.
But we're gonna show those interviews a little bit later on in the show.
But I want to ask you guys, Rose and Sean, if you know this little trivia question. Who has acquired the most NFL players this offseason?
Man, if the answer were quarterbacks, or the question were quarterbacks, I think I'd know the answer to it.
It would definitely be the Jets in
yeah,
that
of course.
scenario.
I know, but that would be too obvious. Who has acquired the most players this offseason? Okay, let me think about this. You go. All right, you go. I'm trying to go back in my head of the draft.
I'm going to take a wild guess.
The police, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh,
That's good, man. Why didn't I see that coming?
The person
they have
40
29.
players that have been
how
been
many?
arrested,
You're right
close
about
to
that.
40. I think it's
Close
like
to
39.
40?
in the last season, right?
Yeah,
I thought, oh
since
my
the
gosh.
Super Bowl
I thought it was
ended, it's
49.
like 38, 39. It's close to 40.
Man.
I know it's pushing 40. A couple of weeks ago on the program, we said 36, and there's been a few since then. And they're not just arresting the players. Also, Broncos executives Matt Russell and Tom Heckard also arrested for DUI. So the NFL is receiving quite some media out there for the police. I don't know if they're encouraged more to get NFL representatives to
They get more money. It's like
they
Sweet
get a
Sweet.
little bonus for arresting an
Yeah.
NFL guy.
They get autographs and take pictures and lock up with the players. So that's the thing, and then they sell them
Well,
on
isn't it?
eBay.
Are they
while
working
they're sleeping or something,
Yeah.
right?
They're working on this Longest Yard sequel or something like
Yeah.
that. They got to have
Yeah.
executives,
Part two.
all type of players.
They want to have
Yeah.
like the best team
Yeah,
for
like-
prison, like the best
Yeah.
prison team to just like
Exactly.
kill the other teams.
Yeah.
It leads to one of our fan mail questions. Kyle from Detroit writes, do you guys have a problem with Maurice and Mike Pouncey, both former teammates of Hernandez at Florida, wearing free Hernandez ball caps?
I
This is
mean,
It's not a smart thing to do because you're in the
No,
league.
definitely
and,
not.
And at the end of the day, you have to remember that it's a business. I understand that you guys are friends, but at the end of the day, it's a business as well. And the image that you put out there is reflected upon your team, the executives, everybody's a trickle down effect. So you can't really do that. It's not cool. You can't do that, man. You can't do it.
it's just hard to go past the facts. I would say if it were a little bit more, ambiguous as to who was right in this case, as to whether or not he did it, then I'd say, yeah, like stick up for your friend. It'd be the best ending
if the
ever,
evidence isn't stacked
But
against
it's
him.
yeah, it's a little bit
Evidence on top
overwhelming.
of
That sounds a
evidence.
little insensitive to the victims
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
It's not,
It's basically like
I mean,
saying,
a lot of it's like,
ahead.
they're
Yeah.
seeing it as like fun and games, wearing it like it's going to be funny
Right.
and stuff. It's very insensitive, very unprofessional, especially to the victims and their families. So it's definitely not something that I agree with. What's your take on a trip?
I mean, I'm a bit torn on it until it's actually we have a final decision.
Right.
Even though I know it's kind of it's just the severity of the charges in this situation, but at the same time, I've seen it done in other situations.
O.J. Simpson had people like all over being
yeah.
like, free the juice,
Eminem
but
had a free
I don't know if they were the
Yayo
people on
T-shirt
his
on
teams.
at the Grammy Awards. You know what I mean? So I can't say that I'm necessarily against it because one, they're friends of Aaron Hernandez. They went to school with him in Florida, so I can understand where they're coming from in that situation. Now,
But
because
here comes that part. But
because of the severity of the situation and how everything played out, it may have been in bad taste on their part.
It's not like a Plexico Burr situation
Yeah.
where he shot himself in the leg or something like
yeah,
that. He
exactly.
killed somebody.
Yeah.
It's a whole different
allegedly,
animal.
'cause
But
it
if
hasn't
these are
been
his closest
proven
friends,
yet.
like you don't want to get on that guy's bad side. What if he does get out? You don't want to be like, yeah, throw him in prison. Then he
Yeah.
gets out, and then he's like, hey guys, calling him on his phone.
Well,
Hey,
you
why
don't-
don't
you
you come
don't
out
have
to the
to
fields
say
with me?
anything.
You know?
Why'd you take the hats off?
yeah, well, that's, at the end of the day, that's the smart thing to do
Yeah.
because you
Yeah.
have to remember they're all in the NFL. Like you can't do stuff
You
like
could just
that.
say, it's very
know?
disappointing to hear the news, or
Yeah,
like,
there's other ways to
I
support
wouldn't
him.
think that he could do something like
without
that.
doing that,
I still want to
because-
see how the court plays out because I don't think, I don't
Yeah.
think he's the type of person. Whatever the case may be, he could be supportive without that.
At the end of the day, each individual NFL player is a brand in themselves, and they should be building that brand. And certain things you kind of have to make the decision on to not do in these kind of situations. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I understand they're friends of his, so I understand why they would do it, but you have to also protect your brand and your investment, which is yourself, because you don't want to lose endorsements behind your support of somebody else when you can support them in other ways. And that's that's my issue with that.
A lot of these players nowadays, they're doing like a lot of funny stuff, like with the whole Kaepernick with the hat and Cam Newton saying that he grew up a Falcons fan. I mean, a lot of these players nowadays, they're just saying stuff and they're not really thinking that at the end of the day, it comes back and it's a reflection upon you and the franchise. So you have to kind of think about these things before you do it. Even with the Cruz and the Zimmerman comments, you have to kind of think about this stuff because it comes back to you at the end of the day. And like you said, you want to have some type of career after you retire because
And Cruz just got a new endorsement deal, so you don't want to take a chance
Come on now.
of blowing it.
These are former teammates in college, and I was kind of thinking a lot of these DUIs and stuff are happening to the younger players. And do you think it's a matter of like when a police officer would probably stop them in their hometown and they play for the college, especially down south, everybody,
Yeah.
you know, they're like the local heroes and stuff. So they're probably used to getting away with it, and they pick up those drinking and driving bad habits during the party scene, and they think because, you know, they're NFL players that they're going to get away with it as well. And apparently it's obviously not the case. And I'm kind of glad that a lot of these arrests are happening, because we mention it time and time again, especially with the NFL players. You could get a free ride from wherever you are by calling a phone number, which boggles the mind.
But you want to drive.
Like, yeah.
You know how many people that we know that will probably that go out and get hammered, they probably want to get a free ride?
Yeah.
We go out every night.
That
We
makes
have
no
free-
sense to me.
Yeah.
None.
We had that. We need to set up a real
it's
fans,
like-
real talk free ride system.
It's like Winona Ryder who's
rides for
stealing. You know,
drinking.
remember when she was like going shoplifting and everything? Like, she doesn't have to do that. It's all about the thrill of it. I think that these guys think that they're larger than life. They're used to, like Statman said, getting away with everything, and it's part of the what fun is it to get wasted and then get a ride home? Where's the risk in that? You know, where's the thrill? Like, go tightrope walking over the Grand Canyon or something. You know, like do something.
Sounds like they're playing a game who's
else.
the least drunkest, and
Yeah.
let's see who can drive home. That's what it
Yeah.
sounds like to me. That's the game everybody's playing. in school. You
Just
can't
drink
do
a
that,
fifth of vodka, damn me to drive.
right?
Yeah.
They're
Russian
taking,
roulette.
listening to Eminem's lyrics too
Right.
literally.
Yeah.
But,
America's roulette.
we're going to play one of the several videos that we have for you guys, with the interview with KJ Stroud. Trip Young, you want to prep us for that interview?
Yeah, this is just going to be a clip from KJ Stroud when he came onto the show. And this is prior to him being picked up by the Jets. And he spoke to us about the whole process of going through his pro day and just getting ready for that. And he spoke to us, about a couple other things on the episode. If you guys do want to check the full episode out, you can always go on to the website, realfansrealtalk.com, and it's in the archives. It'll say the special guest KJ Stroud, or you can always go on our YouTube page, youtube.com/realfansrealtalk, and check that episode out and see the entire episode with KJ Stroud, who, of course, after he was on Real Fans Real Talk, the notoriety and the fame that he got from coming to sit down on a debate desk with us was just what he needed to kind of push him over the hump to get picked up by the Jets. Of course, myself and Statman, we made a couple of calls to the owners and just, told them to
because,
keep
I said, I'm going to pull some strings to keep you in New York and everything.
Yeah.
And, we called the Giants.
Exactly. Because they wanted him to go to Jacksonville. We weren't having that.
No, definitely
so
not.
we made a couple of
Tebow
calls.
over to Jacksonville. That's
Yeah,
what Tebow
exactly.
was.
So that's why he's not there. But they actually wound up sending him to New
I was
England.
wondering what happened with that.
But
Thanks,
We got more pull than you think of.
no, but myself and the Statman, we like to humble ourselves. We don't want to, give up too much of, of the privileges and the connections that we have. So we try to humble ourselves. But I just figured in this situation, it was cool to kind of let the fans know.
Yeah, I'm a little bit bummed that he wasn't able to come today because, they just got a good new offensive coordinator who came from the Eagles, Marty Mornhinweg, and he tends to run the field like horizontally instead of vertically. And I was reading all about it, and I'm not great with that. So, here it is.
Well, here's
All
the
right.
KJ Stroud interview, ladies and gentlemen.
That aren't familiar, because it's right now you're not expected to be in the draft, and you were working your way up to the combine. Can you explain that process?
I mean, first things first, you have to first find an agent. You want to find that guy that, that's willing to work for you. That's one of the main things you look for. You look for a strong agent, someone who's willing to work and put in the hours necessary for you to, to fulfill your dream. But you also have to be mindful, no agent can get you drafted. That all comes from you, your film, and your physical ability. You have to work on, you have to work on your fine tools of running, how you, jumping. There's certain intangibles that the NFL scouts are going to look for. And mainly, nowadays, everyone's really basing this game off of speed. How fast can you run? So that's really one thing you really want to focus on, being fast. Then you also want to, make that transition into the weight room, being how strong. And that's when they go on and test your bench press. And then you want to see how explosive you are and how you can stick a landing and being explosive. And that goes into the broad jump and the vertical leap. There's so many different intangibles that they want to see you excel in just to see if you're worth that opportunity. And then when the draft comes around in April, you look to have a bunch of workouts within the beginning of April individually. If you take care of your business down at your pro day in front of all the scouts, and then if you take care of your business down at pro day, you get the individual workouts at the beginning of April, and then you'll make the transition and then you'll realize you kind of have a clue, especially if you're like a top guy, you kind of have a clue on where you're going to go. But then also, after the rounds pass, if you're a guy that's not going to go drafted, you then have to look at the situation. That's when your agent makes the calls. And, once you've put the numbers out there, they've seen the film, then that's when you have to look for the best situation where there's, you got to be mindful of the numbers game. Who are guys they're going to play, who has to play, because of the contract deals. Because, at the end of the day, it's all a business. And it's all that matters who the fans would like to see. And then once you get that opportunity, to be put on an NFL field, you just have to capitalize on it.
Do you have dates set for your combine and
Yeah, as of right now, I'm waiting for my combine date for Bethune-Cookman, but I have a regional combine coming up March 2nd down at the Giants and Jets facility, and I also have Rutgers Pro Day March 13th.
Now, can you explain a little bit more how that works? How you get invited to the combine? Don't you have something you have to go through
The scouting
first?
combine, yeah, that's usually an invite only, but the regional combine is where you can be, presented in front of the NFL scouts. And if you do well, they invite you to this thing called the Super Regional Combine. This year that's going to be held in Dallas. So if I take care of business and and every other prospect, whose dream is, to be at the next level, you take care of business and you move on to Dallas, to put on that bigger show. And it's kind of similar to what they do down in Indy from what I heard.
All right. Welcome back again. That was our interview clip of with KJ Stroud, New York Jets wide receiver KJ Stroud, from when he came and actually sat down in the studio with myself, Statman, Rose, and Sean Fontaine, and he gave us a little insight on his pro date, which was coming up at the time, and he spoke about having it at the Giants and the Jets facility, and of course, what happens? He goes and gets picked up by the New York Jets, which is an amazing thing. So again, congratulations to KJ for getting picked up by the Jets. I know it's the B team in New York, but it's all right. Hopefully, Geno Smith will take over at quarterback.
Dynamic over there too.
Yeah.
I was saying right before that about, they have a good offensive coordinator who really helped out the Eagles, who were not doing great or weren't great anyway, but, they kind of helped him out. I was really interested to see what he thought about, what he would do with that, being a receiver, and also whether he'd think he'd work better with Mark Sanchez or Geno Smith. You guys, just from his style, does anybody have an idea what you think would be better for him?
Well, I'm sure he wouldn't be able to answer that question if he was with us.
We can answer
That's
it,
one of
though.
the questions that the Jets organization probably tries to shy away from whenever they interview people. I would think probably Geno Smith, though. I'm sure most of us feel that Geno Smith. We've seen everything we've seen from Mark Sanchez, and
At this point, anybody would be better than Mark Sanchez.
Butt fumbler.
Yeah. So that's,
I don't.
that's going to be the
Never
highlight of
live
his
that
career.
down.
Yeah.
Let's not talk bad about the Jets, since KJ is our boy and everything.
I know. What are
wish
we
him
gonna do,
luck.
man?
I know,
this
it's like
is some of my
you-
go-to material.
you
I
root
know. Making fun of the Jets is
Killing
like,
us.
Yeah.
You root for KJ and you root for Geno since he's
what?
down with Rock Nation. That's Brooklyn.
what?
So
That's true. I had a two-people slot for the Jets, and now they're Darrell Revis and
So he can fill it? He can take
Yeah,
Darrell
he's been
Revis'
filling.
spot.
Yeah, exactly. Like the two people that I thought Tim Tebow and Darrell Revis were the two that I liked on the Jets. So now I have two open slots. So
so you can so
All
wait,
right.
Geno and KJ.
they're on the safety zone of the Jets. Go
For
ahead.
those of you just joining us, we are live here on BronxNet Television. We are live every Tuesday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You could check out the full interview with KJ Stroud on our website, realfansrealtalk.com, or you could go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/user/4 The Fans Productions. Also like our Facebook page, facebook.com/realfansrealtalk, and we'll have the archived episode in full a little later on as well. So make sure you click like on that Facebook page, facebook.com/realfansrealtalk. It's about that time for our segment that we love to do, Shot for Shot. The way Shot for Shot works is we have one referee, two contestants. We ask a series of 5 questions unless we go to overtime. Whoever the judge agrees with gets the point. If they both agree, no point is awarded. If you lose Shot for Shot, you have to wear team apparel of a team that you hate. I used the Real Fans Real Talk amnesty clause this week, so I don't have to wear the Red Sox hat. It's All-Star Weekend. I don't want the fans out there to be confused. I was prepared for it. Wore my Yankee colors just in case.
But he will be wearing it next
But
week.
Trip Young burned the Red Sox hat after he had to wear it, so we have to wait to get another.
Let me get you a new one for next week.
There you
Waste
go.
your money on? No, let's not say that.
But
Sorry, you Boston fans out there.
Man.
Well,
All right,
the
so-
ones that we had was donated.
Without further ado,
from
we're
the
gonna
sanitation
we're gonna
workers.
get to the other videos a little later on. Let's just run through this shot for shot.
Before we
Starting with
start,
the-
can I just say, since you're wearing the Yankees jersey, the next time I lose, which could be today very well, does that mean that I don't have to wear the
You're
Yankees
inevitable.
jersey because
No,
you're
no, it
totally
doesn't
wearing
work
it
that
for
way.
me? But you're not wearing your shirt that you were supposed to wear, so it's like you amnestied that over from me.
But you only get
so-
one amnesty per
per
collective
season, per
bargaining
year.
So this is the new rules. Let's
But
write
the-
this
Per
down.
CBA, so
But
that's
amnesty,
you used your
amnesty.
amnesty on the Rutgers because you chose not to wear the team that we told you to wear. You don't get to choose what team
I don't
you
like
hate.
the Rutgers team. That was
Hey.
painful.
All right, well,
it was, and it
I'm
was
sure
hot.
it was.
It
I'm
was
sure it
hot
was.
and painful.
Moving on, you are the
Okay.
champion. That is the good news, Rose. So you don't have to go first. The first question will go to Sean Fontaine. Will Chris Davis, who is currently at 37 home runs on the season, break Barry Bonds' single season record?
Well, you know, they stand somewhere around the same stature and size. So I mean, the power is definitely there, but I don't know because it was a lot of hype around that whole 73 home runs back when Barry Bonds did that. So I don't really see him. I don't see him doing it because he had what, Sosa, competing with him.
Sosa broke it first. Then McGuire broke it the same year. Then later on, Sosa was kind of in the running for it,
And
but
then he
then
kinda
it fell off.
yeah.
And Barry Bonds.
Because I don't
And
really
they
see the
all
same
went
type of
downhill
hype.
with this
Well,
thing.
yeah.
And then they all fell off
Yeah,
once we
then they
found
all
out the
fell off.
truth.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
see the same type
Well,
of
actually,
hype.
Barry didn't really fall off.
Well, I mean,
Because
the
that was never
steroids
proven.
side,
Well,
Okay.
but he
But,
still
yeah.
has an asterisk next to it.
Yeah,
regardless.
he kind of. I feel that he kind of did, and you're right. He always has an asterisk. Actually, I was reading people kind of want the record to be broken because they don't like that stigma that
was
comes
it
with it.
proven?
I mean, it's so political. You can't. It's got a bad stigma.
It did
stigma
not come
with
back positive.
It didn't come back positive.
They didn't not with Barry. They
did
didn't.
not
They
yeah.
never. Nope. They didn't.
All right.
They
Well,
didn't find any
there's.
of his tests positive. It's a speculation. Is just what it is. Speculation. You can't go by that.
All right, again, you're right. Innocent until proven guilty, but I'm just saying that most of the people out there want
Well-
it to be broken. I know that because they know that because there's no foul play with Chris Davis whatsoever. There's no asterisk
Until
there.
3 years.
Question
from now when
is,
it
though,
comes
do
out.
you think it will happen?
So I do not think it will happen, just because. Thanks for getting us back. I was getting to that, but then
No,
we got
I
into
know.
this whole
We just talked about the
asterisk thing.
steroid stuff so
Okay.
many times on Real Fans
Yeah,
Real
we're
Talk, and
done.
we want to get
You're
to
right.
those interviews
Okay.
as well.
Okay, thank you for that. So you're right. I do not think it will happen because Barry Bonds at this point was at 39 home runs. Chris Davis is at 37 home runs. It's very, very close, but statistically speaking, I believe that Chris Davis is on par to get to about 60.75 exactly home runs, and Barry Bonds' number is 73. So I don't think it's going to happen. I think he's going to fall short, especially because, not to get into steroids, but he's probably not on steroids, whereas Barry Bonds probably was, so he had an advantage in that. realm.
Well, like I
So-
said, he did have somebody chasing him too, so they were kind of hand in hand. So that had
The
something to do with it as
competition
well, you
level.
know.
If he gets 37 before and 37 after, that's 74.
That's
and
true.
they
It's
did
right.
they
But
did have a lot of walks with Barry Bonds. Maybe that won't be the case with Chris Davis. Maybe it
But
will.
it's so-
Most
So
likely
you
will
mean they're
because
just
he
gonna give
will
it to
be.
him? Well, it depends on I think on the team record as well.
And
as
they're
far as
doing
if
the
they're-
Baltimore's doing well, so they're probably some important games down the line where they will be working him.
Yeah.
Right.
But we'll
And
see
the
what
other
happens
thing-
with
Yankees
that
coming
one.
up after
And
the
the other
All-Star
thing
break,
is
too,
that it's
so.
it's very hard to stay that consistent. If he's got 37 now, it's very hard to get that exact same number. Even Barry Bonds' numbers dropped at the second half of that. So I think it's going to be harder for him to get, your body starts to wear, health issues could come up. So
Playoffs is coming
yeah,
up. So
exactly.
You
And like you
Yeah.
said, they're going to walk him more. So yeah, no.
All right, so you both agree there. No point is awarded. On to the next question. Over or under 2 hits during the second half of the no hitters, excuse me. Over or under, we are live here on Bronx Net Television, and there are no outtakes. So over or under 2 no hitters during the second half of the MLB season. First, go answer, Rose, please.
Okay, you got that? All right. So I'm going to say under, actually, just because of the way the season's going so far. There's only been one. I mean, some seasons you don't even get any, and there's already been one. Back in 1884, there were actually 8 no-hitters. But if you average it out since 1876 to 2012, it averages out to exactly 2 no-hitters, maybe like 2.1 no-hitters per year, and there's already been one. So, yeah, there could be that freak season where there's 8, but seeing that we've already got halfway through and there's only been one, I would say under. I would say maybe one more or less. Yeah.
I would say the one and only Rose Clear is right once again.
These days.
You know, it's after the All-Star break. Playoffs are going to be coming up pretty soon, even though we have a while for that or whatever. But I mean, I don't see anybody going for any no hitters, even though they don't plan for it to actually happen. But
Shout out to Tim Lincecum, though, for being the second one of the season a couple of days ago, so against the Padres.
But if you get two more, okay. But I mean, I'm going to say under.
All right, you both agree there. It is a very high hitting season. You have Chris Davis, the only other person besides Miguel Cabrera to get over 30 home runs and 90 RBIs before the All-Star break. You have people going for batting over 400 and stuff. So
I want to see what Cespedes does after this break too. After winning that home run derby.
I'm glad you guys agree, because this is a tough one to judge if you disagreed, because we did have a hell of a lot of no-hitters last year, so there's a possibility that there's talented pitching out there, and there might be a few of them in the second half.
It's hit or miss, but anyway.
Next question. Greg Oden will be meeting with several NBA teams this week.
You just get that?
Which team would give him the best chance of getting his career back on track? This goes to you, Sean Fontaine.
Well, if I'm Greg Oden, and I haven't played in a few years, I'm thinking to myself, okay, you have the Pelicans, okay, where
Start with the Pelicans.
Where it's really
I'm gonna take a nap.
nobody around you, so you can kind of do your thing, get your rocks off. You can either do that, or you can go to the Spurs, where you can have somebody like Tim Duncan have you under his tutelage and mold you or whatnot, or you can go to the Miami Heat, where you can just be a role player or whatnot. But
just sit on the bench and try to get a ring like Juwan
Howard
did.
Well, that too, because they did say that he might end up being like a second and third string or whatever. So I mean, and they also don't know what to expect. But the best place I see him right now, I would say, because of where they're going, the Spurs.
Okay.
So I have 2 thoughts on this. My first one is I was thinking with Celtics, just because they could really use that big man. They still, as of now, as long as they keep Rajon Rondo, if they lose him, then that changes my decision. But with Rajon Rondo, they've got the point guard there. They have Jeff Green, they have Jared Sullinger. They have some good players that they did lose quite a few, but they also got some Nets players, but that are still decent, like we were saying, with some of them. And so I could see him being the most useful there, because it's not like a complete bust, but it's also not going to be a team where they're never ever going to play him. That being said, this is Greg Oden, who, he was picked first overall back in 2007, but since then, what has he played, like 13 minutes due to injuries total? So I would say, with that in mind, that probably the best place is where he wouldn't have to play at all, so he could still get a ring and not have to hurt himself and not have to be out. So with that being said, I would have to probably go with Miami Heat, because they already got the whole team, so now they just put that little big 7-foot statue on there and say, there we go, now we're complete or something.
And they just waived Mike Miller, too.
Right, and you know what, and with Statman, I hate to say this because I know you hate the Heat and all that, but just looking at it from
Especially
this standpoint.
since I'm the judge.
I know, I'm sorry, and I thought of all this, but it's like, but looking at, this 7-footer who's had knee problems, he's had elbow problems, he's had all kinds of, like all different problems, back problems, and then seeing that he's played like 13 minutes in, what has it been, 5-6 years, it's kind of like, okay, so just put him on the best team possible, and then he has to play the least. He has the least chance of getting hurt, and he has the best chance of winning. So I guess I'd go Heat.
All right. I'm going to give the point to Sean.
I knew it.
If you went with the Celtics, I would have given you the point, because that's the team that I had in mind.
Yeah.
Because
if anybody else,
you had it where he'd probably be getting more minutes, and the question is to get his career back on track. But the reason why I'm going with Sean is because you have Coach Greg Popovich there. You have Tim Duncan there, who's another big man that he's going to learn under. The most talent in in the Heat, LeBron James and Dwayne Wade don't really play that position, so he's not going to learn as much from them as a veteran power forward big man like Tim Duncan and the great mind of Greg Popovich. So as far as the best fit for him, he still probably wouldn't be playing that many minutes either. Still has a chance for a championship, not as good as with the Miami Heat, but he'll be a little bit more involved. So unless you want your career to be a permanent bench player, I think a different team than the Miami Heat would be
John
good
Sally
for
at
him.
age 25.
Next question: will the Knicks make it to the Eastern Conference Finals this upcoming season?
Me.
Yes.
All right, I'm telling you right now, I'm losing another point because you have good points for why the Knicks will be good this year, and I think that they'll be decent this year. But there are just too many contending teams in the Eastern Conference now. You of course have the reigning champs, the Miami Heat. Then the Nets just got all of these improvements, which we all know that they're going to be good. Even though I'm not happy with this, they're going to be decent at least for a season. I think that they're going to be major contenders with Kevin Garnett and everybody else that they've acquired and everybody else that they've kept. Then we have the Pacers, the Bulls. They're just, with Derrick Rose coming back, there are just too many teams that are going to be already contending for the finals for, I think, the Knicks to make it. So go ahead. Go suck up and get your point.
Will the
Just do
Knicks
it.
make the Eastern Conference Finals? Can the Knicks play together? That's the question. I mean, they already had an issue with one player with Stoudemire not being there and him coming back and being able to play with Carmelo. And, I mean, they have some new players or whatnot, but I just don't see them making the Eastern Conference Finals so soon. I have to see them play together before I can be.
You
more
didn't want to take
confident.
her advice and suck up and get them going?
No, and you know what? I actually enjoy watching the
It's
Knicks
not like he
play.
can lose the point.
And I actually enjoy watching the Knicks
It's true.
play, but it's just a matter of I want to see them be able to play together.
There wasn't
you
really
know?
a chemistry issue this year with Stoudemire because when he came back from the injury,
he
he
accepted
came
his
off the
role.
bench.
He accepted his
He
role,
barely
right.
played any minutes. He wasn't really healthy to get the minutes. He's probably going to get more minutes next season. You have another big man in there. You have other pieces that they picked up. You have Ron Artest, who's a great defensive player who could guard, do a better job of guarding LeBron James than some of the other players out there. Not like you could really guard him, but at the same time better than
I see
some
them
of
going
the other Knicks players.
going a little bit further in the playoffs.
No, they can't.
I think they could have beaten the Heat last year, but they couldn't get past the Pacers because the Pacers, they're not ready for that.
Well,
two big
when
men.
you have Hibbert and George, those two twin towers right
They
there.
might not come across the Pacers in the
You're
next
right.
playoffs.
You're right.
I think
You're
that's
right.
the one. They
they'll
did
just
so
lose to
much
Miami
to
in the second
prepare
round.
for the Heat that they weren't even prepared for the Pacers. That's the way I felt about last season. But they have more pieces coming up, and obviously the talk about Rondo as well. So we'll see what happens with that one. Still a little early. Moving on to the next question. Over or under 40% chance both the Giants and the Jets make it to the playoffs this upcoming NFL season.
I'm going to say under. I definitely.
You don't go first this time, but
Wait.
It's actually it's on
I'm going to say.
you cheated yourself.
I'm
but
going
go ahead.
under the table to pick up my pen, and then I'll tell you my answer. Whoops.
Is that a pen or a bunch of
There
pens?
you go. I'll tell you my answer after he goes. Go ahead.
Over under 40% that the Giants and the Jets both make the playoffs. So with the Jets have a new offensive coordinator, but they still have the same coach. You know, and they have an interesting dynamic there with Geno and Sanchez or whatever. And they're not kind of ruling out quite yet that Geno will be the starter, but I'm going to say under 40% because it's a lot of things that aren't sure as of yet. You know, going forward in the season, towards the season.
Rose?
Now that I've picked up my pen from under the table, I'm going to say over 40% because of course the Giants are my team and I really like them and not just that, they always tend to start doing really well and they've been a playoff team for the past few years as well and they keep starting off between, maybe 5-2 or 6-1 and then they kind of fall off, but they seem to always make the playoffs. The Jets,
I'm going to
though,
cut you off because we have to get to our videos. I'm going to minus a point for you because you said under first and you changed
I was going
it
under the
just
table
because.
for my pen.
Either way,
I was on the fence
the
about
Jets,
it.
I'm sorry, they're not making the playoffs.
All right.
KJ, we
Even with
love you.
KJ
We
Stroud.
hope you do, but It's
We
not
want you to
happening.
do good, KJ.
I was
Let's
looking up
run
for
those
KJ.
other 2 videos from the Washington Redskins
I'm the
and
only
the
one who believes in
Philadelphia
you, KJ.
Eagles.
Just remember that.
We believe in him.
The
He's
only
not-
What position you play for the Eagles?
Safety. North Carolina State University.
You gonna be starting this year?
Hey man, wherever I can come in and help at, man. I'm saying right now, I'm just competing right now. Competing on special teams, competing, at safety, just trying to fit in right now.
How's Coach Chip Kelly?
My coach Chip, man, he's a great guy, man, great man. The players coach, come out of college, he understands players, he kind of knows, how to get in that relationship and kind of, that's what's going on right now. But just as an overall coach, he's a great coach. He has great philosophy, offensively, defensively. I feel like we're gonna be a great team this year.
Who on the defensive end are you trying to study?
On the defensive end right now, I would say, Nate Allen, he's an older guy, he helps me out, comes up, talk to me, if I have any questions, I talk to him, Patrick Chung. Honestly, a lot of the older guys are real open to me, anytime I have any questions about anything, they're always up for the answers.
Are the Eagles going to get back to the playoffs this year?
Yes, we will. Yes, we will. I promise you that. We will have, I would say, she won at least 10 games this year. We have a good team. Like I said, Coach Chip Kelly's coming in with a great philosophy. We're going to do big things.
All right, now as a Giants fan, I got to still root for the home team.
Yeah.
So y'all think y'all going to beat the Giants twice this year?
Most likely. Most likely.
Most
likely. Real fans, real talk.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Eric Wolf out in Miami, right on Collins Ave. It got turned up. That was Memorial Day weekend. But we got one more interview that we're going to show you guys before we get out of here, and that's with my man D.A. David Amerson from the Washington Redskins, cornerback, and he's looking to make a big splash this year. So we're going to check that out before we get up out of here.
How's training camp going so far?
It's going smooth, making the adjustments, just getting familiar with the team.
Is Coach Shanahan hard on the rookies?
Oh, nah, he's a smooth guy. He's pretty laid back, but all the other coaches do all his dirty work.
How's RG3 looking right now?
Yeah, he look good to me. I don't really see no fall off.
So y'all gonna win the division again this year?
Of course.
How many interceptions?
I don't know. I'm looking about 5 or 6.
5 or 6 as a rookie. That's big numbers.
You gotta set high goals.
You trying to? Okay, so you looking at rookie of the year? You trying to get that?
Yeah, definitely.
Now, y'all won a division. I just interviewed one of the Eagles. That's another rival. I know y'all cool. Who's gonna win those 2 head-up games?
Redskins all day. You already know. Real fans, real talk. D.A. David Amerson all day.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, of course, that was my man, David Amerson, cornerback for the Washington Redskins. Look out for him this season. He's going to make an impact for that defense. And, of course, Eric Wolf from the Philadelphia Eagles. I want to shout them out. Thanks for stopping by. Let me do that. Let me get that interview in. Like I said, we're right on Collins. And if you notice, David Amerson had that Miami Heat fitted on while we was out there in South Beach.
I did notice
just,
that.
just repping for the champs, the 2-time back-to-back, champs and all of that. So, but it was a good time out there with those guys.
Before we ride out on this episode, we do this segment in This Day in Sports History. Since we're low on time, I'm just going to run through them real quick. And this day in sports history, 1941, Joe DiMaggio goes 3 for 4, hitting his 56th straight game. Huge record there. 1968, Detroit Lions running back Hall of Famer Barry Sanders was born. In 1985, Lamar Hoyt of the San Diego Padres named the All-Star Game MVP. In 1987, my boy Don Mattingly hits his 4th Grand Slam of the season and ties the record of homers in 6 straight games. And in 1988, Wayne Gretzky and Janet Jones, the Police Academy star, got married in Edmonton.
If you don't know who Janet Jones is on Police Academy, she is the very voluptuous police officer from Police Academy.
Yes.
With the blonde hair.
All right, for Trip Young, Sean Fontaine, and Rose Claire, I'm Mark the Statman Skevich. Thank you for joining us, and have a good night. Make sure you check us out on realfansrealtalk.com.
Send the ball down, the Hoyas gotta go. We knocking threes down and throwing alleys up. Georgetown knocked down, now we moving up. I know you mad now, filled your brackets up. Put it on your wall and thought that was enough. But then you watched the game. Comer to Feeler, damn, rip your brackets up. Dunk City, yeah, dunk City, yeah. Dunk City, yeah, dunk City, yeah. Dunk City, yeah, dunk City, yeah. Dunking on your team, yeah. Throwing alleys.